Altos is brought to you with the kind compliments of Ritual's Coffee House.
Good evening and welcome to Altos, a weekly news and current affairs program produced by the Catholic News and broadcast on Trinity TV and TTT. I am Raymond Sims. Our top stories this week. Electrical problems forced the closure of the St. Patrick Newtown Girls RC School. There is hope that the school will reopen on Monday. Father Augustine's Tobago People's Party makes a clean sweep in the THA elections, and as he takes the oath of office for a second term as Chief Secretary, he promises no one will be left behind. Head of the Franciscan House of Prayer, Father Trevor Nathathing, says Pope Leo's declaration of 2026 as a Franciscan Year of Jubilee is significant. Traffic experts weigh in on increased fines. And later we discuss protection of children over the Carnival season with Kwesi Prosper of the Children's Authority. St. Patrick's Newtown Girls RC School has been temporarily closed after an electrical issue was discovered on the ground floor of the three-story building. The closure, which began Thursday, January 8th, has affected all classes. Altos reporter Kaylan Jordan has more on the situation.
According to the Chief Executive Officer of the Catholic Education Board of Management, Father David Khan, the closure was a precautionary measure after the electrical problem was observed last week Wednesday. He said, quote, "Safety is always the number one priority," end quote. He told Altos that the bottom floor of the school needs to be rewired due to the current electrical capacity. The electrical issue impacted the entire school, prompting daily requests for suspension of classes until repairs are completed. Father Khan told Altos the middle and upper students are being tutored online. On Wednesday, approval was granted for the repair work, but the acting principal was awaiting confirmation from the Ministry of Education on a contractor to begin the project. At this time, the reopening date of the school has not been confirmed, but Father Khan is optimistic that the repairs will be completed within a week for students to return to the classroom. I am Kaylan Jordan reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
Meantime, Altos has confirmed that school officials met with Mr. Vinu Sukai of MTS and the assigned contractor, Mr. Mahindra Soni, from SRN Contractors on Thursday, and further assessments were made of areas requiring repairs. Repair work is expected to be done over the weekend, and the school will be ready for reopening on Monday, January 19th. The newly elected Tobago House of Assembly was scheduled to hold a news conference Friday morning to discuss how the THA will roll out a system of governance that is accountable and transparent. Having won all 15 seats in the election, there is no official opposition. Shortly after he took the oath of office as THA's Chief Secretary for a second term, TPP leader Father Augustine addressed the people of Tobago, assuring that although the party created history when it won all 15 seats in the election held on Monday, January 12th, they will govern for all and be accountable to the people.
The people of Tobago can look forward to concrete measures that will for the first time embed direct democracy in our governance model, ensuring that citizens are not spectators in decision-making, but participants in it. I want you to know that giving us all 15 seats will not result in us abusing you, will not result in us becoming elected dictators, but will allow for us to introduce measures without being stymied by those who are anti-Tobagonian, and will ensure that Tobago sees progress along a trajectory that leads to the greatest little island on the planet.
While he was addressing the gathering, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, decked in a blue outfit, arrived, having earlier attended the swearing-in ceremony of the Assembly.
Prime Minister, allow me to quip that while you, I'm sure, understand that yellow might be the code in Trinidad, blue is the
So they asked me, how does it feel to be in Tobago today?
Yes.
I said, the sky is blue.
Yes.
And the sun is shining. The last time I was here, I was across there making a little speech.
Yes.
At the end of the speech, I said, I pray the anchor holds.
Oh,
And the anchor did hold. So thank you very much.
The People's National Movement, which held one seat in the last assembly, was defeated in Monday's election. From one Jubilee year into another, the Catholic Church marks a special milestone as Pope Leo XIV proclaims this year the Franciscan Jubilee, commemorating the 800th anniversary of the death of St. Francis of Assisi. Dale Cedeno sat down with the head of the Franciscan House of Prayer, Father Trevor Nathasing, who reflected on the significance of this sacred Jubilee year. Here's more in this report.
When you look at the life of Francis, Francis arose at a time when the church was going through great crisis. There was a dying of spirituality. Materialism had creeped into the church.
Head of the Franciscan House of Prayer, Father Trevor Nathasing, says the declaration of this year by Pope Leo as the Franciscan Jubilee is especially significant. He notes that at a time when our focus has shifted, the Jubilee calls for a deeper examination of ourselves.
To declare this year dedicated to him would really be a challenge to all of us in the Roman Catholic Church to rethink again our witness.
At the Franciscan House of Prayer, the virtues of St. Francis are lived out daily, and Father Nathasing is encouraging the faithful to use this Jubilee as an opportunity to learn more about the life and teachings of St. Francis.
We try to live out the spirituality of St. Francis, a love for nature, a love for simplicity, a love for evangelizing, a love for winning souls for Jesus Christ. So that's what we do basically. We need to read up about Francis, because you see, we might consider ourselves very modern, so we have different challenges, but the challenges are the same.
Father Nathasing says that as the world has become complicated, we must be careful not to stray from the simple way of living taught by St. Francis.
The thing about it is to live what we believe about Francis. In this crazy world we live in, to live a simple life, to embrace the simplicity of life, and to labor for the good of the church. To bring people to understand that the church really is not the building, but the lives of the people. To get them back into faith, to get them back into loving God and serving God.
Pope Leo announced on January 10th that the Franciscan Jubilee will be celebrated from January 10th, 2026 to January 10th, 2027. Father Nathasing hopes that churches around the country dedicated to St. Francis will take this opportunity to raise awareness of his life, teachings, and the lasting impact he continues to have on the world today. I am Dale Cedeno reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
The Cyril Ross Children's Home, which was opened in 1994 to provide residential care for children living with HIV, closed its doors on December 31, 2025, after 31 years of operation. But the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago and the Society of St. Vincent de Paul are giving different accounts on the reasons for the closure. Lara Pickford-Gordon tells us more in this report.
The Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago explained in a media release issued on Sunday, January 4th, that the Cyril Ross Children's Home held, quote, a conditional license up to its voluntary cessation of operations on December 31, 2025, which allowed it to operate and provide residential care to children, end quote. According to the release, the St. Vincent de Paul Society had early in 2025 notified the CATT of its consideration to voluntarily cease operations due to its inability to meet all the criteria for full licensure. CATT said through stakeholder engagement, considerable efforts were made to explore opportunities, quote, that might have supported the continued operation of the home, end quote. However, the SVP, quote, determined that continuing operations was not viable given the challenges they faced. The authorities said it worked with the SVP and the 3 residents of the home were relocated, quote, to safe and appropriate placements in accordance with the child's best interests, end quote. SVP President Nigel Phillip is giving a different view. He told Altos funding for critical work on the home to meet recommendations for compliance was given through the Office of the Prime Minister in 2023. Phillips said the cost of running the home was about $60,000 to $90,000 monthly for food, utilities, the needs of the child, staff salaries, etc.
Therefore, having 4 children at the institution does not make sense, right? But however, we had to operate at full staff in the hope that Children's Authority will send persons to the organization or children to the organization that will be able to buffer.
Phillips said last September the SVP approached the Children's Authority for Cyril Ross to be licensed as a home for all children and meeting the requirements for this to happen. He said Cyril Ross did have a provisional license up to December, and attempts were made to have dialogue with the CATT on a way forward for the home. This is Lara Pickford-Gordon for Catholic News, Altos.
And you can read more on this story in this weekend's issue of the Catholic News. With controversial new traffic fines now in full force, a top traffic safety official is pushing back against public frustration and critics who have framed the penalties as a cash grab. Instead, the fines are seen as a vital strategy to save lives and fundamentally change Trinidad and Tobago's driving culture. Here's more from our correspondent, Clysha Best.
Coordinator of the Strategic Road Safety Project of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Sergeant Brent Batson, directly addressed public anger over fines that have increased by as much as 100%. Batson told Altos he understood the plight of citizens, but argued that the financial sting is achieving its goal, compelling compliance where warnings failed.
Whereas everybody was seeing it as a revenue generation standpoint, I don't see it that way from a policing perspective. If this is aiding us or in getting the public to comply with road traffic laws, we welcome it.
Batson also outlined what people are getting ticketed for the most.
The number one most ticketed traffic violation right now is inspection. The other type of violations that's still propping up a lot, breach of traffic signs. Tint still is in the top 5. People have their vehicles tinted too dark. And then, of course, we have the most popular one, seatbelts.
Batson even explained where the money accumulated from the tickets go.
All ticket fines, so I could just clear this up, go straight into consolidated fund. None come back to the police or licensing. It's one fund that it goes back into.
Altos also spoke with head of Arrive Alive, Sharon Inglefield, who told us she views the increases in fines as part of a comprehensive effort to save lives. But she stressed the need to educate drivers.
Certainly, we want to see that drivers are trained prior to achieving the privilege to drive on our nation's roads, so that all classes of drivers' licenses are upgraded. The licensing process is upgraded to include hazard perception, risk management. Very important that we train our drivers for all classes of vehicles so that the driving improves by education.
Inglefield is advocating that the police be better equipped to deal with traffic crimes.
We are not satisfied that we have enough breathalyzers and speed guns in the hands of the highway division, the traffic division within the TTPS. We want to see those speed guns in that division and working to prevent the loss of life. Speed, when you increase speed, you increase risk, and therefore it's the #1 killer.
Inglefield is optimistic the increase in fines will bring positive change.
We therefore hope that with this change, we have less and less crashes, less and less injuries, and less fatalities, which is the overall picture, which is the big picture. We want to see 0 lives lost on our nation's roads.
I am Clysha Best for Catholic News, Altos.
Faith, uncertainty, and spiritual renewal were at the forefront last weekend as the Catholic Charismatic Renewal hosted its 25th Caribbean Conference at the Center of Excellence in Mokoya. The 3-day gathering brought together faithful from across the region for worship, teaching, and renewal. Altos reporter Kaylan Jordan tells us more in this report.
I know that you are there for me.
The Catholic Charismatic Renewal held its 25th biannual Caribbean Conference from January 9th to the 11th, welcoming participants from across the region. On Sunday, Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon addressed the gathering, reflecting on the uncertainty facing the country and the wider Caribbean.
And we don't know what that will bring. We don't know what that will do to us ultimately. We have hopes for profit from this, but it could lead us to deep destruction too.
His Grace reminded the faithful that while external conditions may be unstable, the spiritual life must remain rooted in God.
The outer season of our country and the geopolitics does not determine the inner season of our life. Outside might be as dark as day, but inside needs to be as bright as light.
Saturday's featured presentation, Lord, Make Me Like You, was delivered by Father Elvo Augustine of Dominica, who challenged believers to embrace a deeper and more demanding faith.
If you want Jesus to make you like him, you have to take the full package. There's a Christianity today, people take what they want and they leave the rest behind. Well, that is cheap Christianity.
Father Augustine urged believers to embrace sacrifice as part of authentic discipleship.
But by virtue of your baptism, you are priests. And may I say priestesses too? And so that's who we are. And we are called to offer sacrifice unto God. And we dare not want to go there.
Other presentations focus on healing, faith, and the movements of the Holy Spirit. Archbishop Gordon also reflected on the charismatic renewal as a movement of the people led by the laity and sustained by faithfulness.
When people are faithful, God makes them attractive. The first phase of evangelization is attraction.
I am Kaylan Jordan reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
And there's more on the conference in this weekend's issue of the Catholic News. We're going to a break now, and when we return, we'll be speaking with Kwesi Prosper of the Children's Authority, and we're dealing with Carnival safety for children. Check your Catholic trivia now and see if you can answer this question on St. Francis. Right, and welcome back. We have on set with us Mr. Kwesi Prosper, a case management officer from Children's Authority. Happy New Year and welcome to Altos.
Thank you.
Christmas into Carnival. We just came out of the Christmas season.
Yes.
And we're now into the Carnival season. I know Children's Authority put out a media release advising parents on caring for their child during the season, the Christmas season.
Yes.
So now we're into Carnival, and it has some little nuances that we should think about. Tell me about them.
Okay, so thank you so much for having us here this morning. We count it a great privilege to teach and share about child safety. So when it comes to understanding, well, as you mentioned, the difference between Carnival and not Carnival, but Christmas and into Carnival, there is a thin line. Right? Understanding that Christmas is more at home, right? Carnival is more of outdoor festivities.
Yes.
And you want to be able to teach your children various things that will be able to help them to stay close to you and also stay safe during this season. So what the authority recognizes is that the main type of abuse that we see during this type of season, and even beyond the season, is neglect. Right? And what that does, it opens the door for other types of abuse to be inflicted on the children, such as physical abuse, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse.
All right. So when you say neglect in what way? We're talking about a parent who may go out to Carnival, may leave the children at home, thinking the maybe the older child
could
take care of the younger ones.
Yes.
Is that a form of neglect?
Yes, it is a form of neglect. So essentially, it is against the law to leave children under the age of 18 home by themselves without adult supervision.
Okay.
So a lot of parents think, okay, I have a 15-year-old. He or she might be more mature to look after the younger ones. And that may not necessarily be the case because they may not always have an eye on the younger child. Or even themselves, they might be curious, they might leave home. So it is a form of neglect. And it, as I said, it leaves the possibility for so many other types of abuse to take place.
All right, so are there any other risks for, that a child could experience during the carnival season besides neglect?
Of course. So there are various types of abuse, such as physical abuse, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse. So let's say the children are home alone, right? And the parents nowhere to be found, there are no adult supervision. And one of the children decide to leave home without the parents' knowledge. See, what happens is that now they are outside, and there is no knowledge of where they are. So someone from the outside could easily inflict harm on them, or it could cause some form of abduction, some form of sexual abuse, either grooming or touching. Right? It is important and imperative that we help our children to understand the importance of child safety, but more so the parents providing that for the children.
Okay, so it is the parents who take the first responsibility.
100%. It is the parents' responsibility.
Okay, so that is the child at home. What about the child out in the street during Carnival, maybe Kiddies Carnival? What type of advice would you give a parent in terms of, we were talking before and you were saying, some parents have cell phones for their children and things, but that, of course, that's age appropriate. You can't have a 4-year-old with a cell phone.
Definitely.
You can't.
Definitely.
Right?
Yes.
What other advice you would tell a parent in terms of if they go out into the carnival celebration?
So if it is that you're taking your child out into the carnival festivities, whether to spectate or to directly participate, we recommend that at least you have first you would have a discussion with your child. Make sure the child is aware of their names, date of birth, age, and parental information, especially contact and address. If after that, you want to teach them about at least having like a name tag on themselves to keep that on their person, or some kind of identifying badge on their person, so that it helps anyone that they can turn to, such as a police officer, to help locate them.
So they should also be able to identify what a police officer looks like.
Correct.
Or you know, an adult who has some sort of authority.
Correct.
All right, we're coming on towards the end. Tell me something about, what about those parents who are not participating in the carnival season, who are maybe going on their camps, or just going to relax somewhere? Any advice for that?
The number one advice that the authority would give is to ensure that you are monitoring your child. Again, you want to ensure that you are keeping your child safe. Your eyes are on your child 24/7. If it is that you are not in close proximity to your child, let's say, for example, the child has gone off to a camp, you want to be able to know all the facilitators, the leaders at that camp, so that you can easily have contact with your child. If it is that you're going at the beach, ensure that you're always looking at your child. If you are not directly looking at the child, there is a trusted adult to supervise the child, because abuse can happen in these open areas as well. Right? But above all else, ensure the child's safety. Should be the parents' number one priority. Okay, so
Children's Authority, they have this type of information online. What is the website? You know, the
so you can visit the Children's Authority website. You can type it in on Google, and it will take you straight to the website. There you would have a variety of information that you could peruse, or if it is that you have a report, you can also lodge a report there.
Okay, what was the hotline number?
The hotline numbers are 996 or 800 2014, 996 800 2014. And you can call us and we'll be able to assist you there.
All right, thanks very much, Kwesi Prosper, Case Management Officer from Insurance Authority. And parents, please remember, even though it is the carnival season, you have the responsibility to take care of your children, right? Thanks very much. Thanks, Kwesi, again.
Thank you so much for having us.
And we'll be right back. In this weekend's issue of the Catholic News, our editorial addresses the recent increase in fines for breaching road regulations. Registered dietitian Cherise Brown-Tinque encourages simplicity in understanding good nutrition in 2026. She takes a look at the food myths and fad diets. The Met Office forecasts a fairly wet, dry season. Rihanna Boudram offers some advice for avid gardeners in her Green Thumb column. Our center pages have photos and reports on last weekend's 25th Caribbean Conference of the Catholic Charismatic Renewal. And in his back page column, Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon has a message for the faithful as the church prepares for Sunday of the Word of God on January 25th. Here are the clergy anniversaries for the coming week. I am Raymond Sims, editor of the Catholic News. Welcome back. You're watching Altos. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado has made a surprise visit to the Vatican for a private meeting with Pope Leo. It was her first known appearance since she received the Nobel Peace Prize in Oslo, Norway, just over a month ago, and also her first since the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. We have more in this report.
According to a press release from the party founded by Machado, the Venezuelan leader asked the Pope to intercede for all political prisoners in Venezuela and for progress towards a transition to democracy. Today, I had the blessing and the honor of being able to share time with His Holiness and to express our gratitude for his attention to what is happening in our country. I also conveyed to him the strength of the Venezuelan people, who remain steadfast and in prayer for the freedom of Venezuela, and I asked him to intercede for all the Venezuelans who remain kidnapped and disappeared. The country has been immersed in political uncertainty since the U.S. operation to capture Maduro on January 3rd. The face-to-face meeting between Pope Leo and Machado took place right before she plans to meet with Donald Trump at the White House. The Pope's concern for the situation in Venezuela has been evident from the start. He spoke out just one day after Maduro's capture during a Sunday Angelus address on January 4th.
Con animo colmo di preoccupazione, seguo gli sviluppi della situazione in Venezuela. Il bene dell'amato popolo venezuelano deve prevalere sopra ogni altra considerazione e indurre a superare la violenza e intraprendere cammini di giustizia e di pace.
It was not long before he brought the topic up again. During his audience with ambassadors accredited to the Holy See on January 9th, he raised concern about tensions in the Caribbean Sea, as well as the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people.
This pertains in particular to Venezuela in light of recent developments. In this regard, I renew my appeal to respect the will of the Venezuelan people and to safeguard the human and civil rights of all, ensuring a future of stability and concord.
Machado met on Thursday with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House. And that's a wrap on our program for this week. Thank you for viewing. We continue to encourage you to pray for Trinidad and Tobago, read your Bible, and learn your faith. Carnival is less than a month away and the competitions are getting underway. Judges visited schools participating in the National Primary Schools Panorama Preliminaries. As we go, we leave you with the sweet sounds of defending champions, the San Fernando Boys RC School, as they performed for the judges at the Skiffle Bunch Panyard in San Fernando. In 2025, the school won the Junior Schools Panorama title with their rendition of Shadows Dingole. In 2026, their tune of choice is Explainers, Lorraine.
Altos was brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals Coffee House.